Another week, another 3 a.m. Coney. I am here with Lukas. I am drinking a Mad Tree Danger Sloth. Actually pretty good. Mexican lager. Great art on there. We have much to discuss this week with the Bengals. With you said you wanted to talk about the Reds. They're not on the wall behind you, but we'll bring them out of timeout with
No. See,
everything that's going on in MLB right now.
I didn't tell you what I was going to say about the Reds. It ain't exactly coming out of timeout, but we'll get to that. Okay.
All right. We're going to do our Cincinnati versus Vegas. Figure out how we did last week. Look at the next game here. We can talk about Andy Dalton on Monday Night Football. What do you want to start with there?
Oh, well, Andy Dalton on Monday Night Football, that just made me some money. And
there you go.
I think that it could have been a truly unbelievably cataclysmic weekend for Zac Taylor had Andy Dalton dominated on Monday Night Football. I mean, if that guy comes out and dominates on prime time and looks like a completely different character, last year for Cincinnati looks even worse because fans have correctly pointed out Zac Taylor took over a team that was projected to go like 6 or 7 wins. Some thought he could get 8. Some thought he could get.
You had him at 9 and 7.
I mean, but that was the team he took over in 2019, the one team that went 2 and 14. And then even the expected win-loss was supposed to be 4 and 12. So if on a weekend in which Ryan Tannehill looks like a Greek god, the same Ryan Tannehill that Zac Taylor contributed to looking average in his time in Miami, and Andy Dalton, who also was under Zac Taylor, looks even better in Dallas, following a 21-point collapse, it would have really been cataclysmic for Zac Taylor. Instead, it was a critically awful weekend for him. And I've been the patience guy. I've been the just beat Jacksonville. And yeah, I'm kind of out of that boat now. I think Zac Taylor's on the hot seat week in and week out for the rest of this season after that 21-point collapse.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing a lot more hashtag fire Zac Taylor after this past week. Even after the Cowboys and Andy Dalton did not look great. It came out that for the Cowboys organization that players were trying to call out the coaches and saying this coach just doesn't care or they don't know what they're doing. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, how are the Bengals doing the exact same thing? We are saying the exact same thing. And Andy Dalton's there just like, I'm trying, guys. It's not my fault. It's not the curse of Andy Dalton here.
Well, I think Andy's just a limited quarterback. And I think we saw that and we learned that. We learned that last year. We saw that in Cincinnati. We understood.
Also was not getting a lot of O-line help from the Cowboys in that game.
And he's a limited quarterback. You need to be able to block for him. It doesn't really matter the weapons you have on the outside. And I love Andy. And I think he's going to have some success here in Dallas. They'll figure it out in some sort of way. But he's a backup. Maybe he gets another chance to start. Best case scenario, Ryan Fitzpatrick type character the rest of his year. And if the Bengals had a Hall of Fame, he'd be in half consideration because of his 3 Pro Bowls and the 8-0 year. But you know, I wish him the best. He's such a great guy. I hated seeing that. I knew it was going to happen, so I wanted to make money on it. But,
you just go, that's a shame as you're going through your winning.
Like they were blowing it, and Andy was driving, and I didn't really watch. I watched Bengals games on my phone last year. I didn't put my girlfriend through that experience because I knew how bad they were. So
that's nice of you.
She didn't get to watch Andy Dalton much, and we were watching Monday Night Football, and he's driving down the field. He looks good, and I'm like, he's about to press. He's about to press. They're down 2 scores. He's going to throw late on his 3rd read and throw a pick. I was saying it. I'm like, he's going to press. He's going to throw a pick. And boom, there it is. Late on a read, outside, tries to fit it in, doesn't understand his arm, and throws an interception. Andy just in prime time, there's something about it. He just gets out of character. He tries to be a player he's not.
A little panicky, yeah.
And it's just, is what it is. It happens. Hey, he was a 2nd-round draft pick. We got way more out of Andy Dalton than anybody ever expected the Cincinnati Bengals to get out of Andy Dalton. And out of Andy Dalton, we got Joe Burrow. Which is great news, a great point. But I want to move to Zac Taylor.
Okay.
Fully here, Matt. And I'm going to read you something, okay? Because we compared Joe Burrow a lot to Andrew Luck before the year. And that was one of my things of if this Bengals team is going to have success, the Steelers and Browns need to be bad, one of the two. Both are good, solid. Steelers are great. I said a lot of these things need to go right. Offensive line need to play well. Not a lot of that's happening. However, Joe Burrow being the best rookie, best number one overall pick, because Justin Herbert has honestly played better than Joe Burrow. I'll admit that.
I think there over. I think he jumped him in the offensive rookie of the year,
and deservedly. He's going to put up massive numbers. The dude's got a cannon, right? I'll take Joe Burrow in 5 years. You can have Justin Herbert this year. But it's still a lot of season to be left, so that might change. But the best number one overall pick since Andrew Luck, that's what I wanted Joe Burrow to be. That's what I thought the Bengals' path to success was. So listen to this, Matt. I got the stat in front of me. This is Joe Burrow versus Andrew Luck in their first 6 games. Remember, both of these teams were drafted by 2 and 14 franchises. Both of these teams had an aging wide receiver on the outside and questionable offensive lines and a young defense. That was the situation both of these players were put into. You can go to our past episodes to see the comparison. Joe Burrow, in his first 6 games, 1-4-1 record, 85 rating, 24 sacks, 1,600 yards on 246 attempts, 8 touchdowns to only 6 turnovers. Andrew Luck, 3-3 record, but 13 points lower rating, the same amount of yardage on more attempts, 10 total touchdowns, but 10 turnovers compared to Joe Burrow's 6. Here's the difference, though. Andrew Luck is 3-1 in one-score games through his first 6 games. Joe Burrow, 1-3-1.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Because Joe Burrow's playing better. He looks pretty good. Was super prepared coming out of college. What is the difference? It's Zac Taylor.
Yep.
Because
coaching.
Andrew Luck had Chuck Pagano and Bruce Arians. That was the year Chuck Pagano was sidelined with his battle with cancer. They had Chuck Pagano and Bruce Arians. And Joe Burrow has Zac Taylor. And, I can point to Joe. Hey, he's had 3 opportunities to go win the game, and he's failed in all 3 of them, tied in 1. But at the same time, could have been an OPI, could have won that game, could have done the right things against Indianapolis. He should have never had to have come back in that game. 27 points against the number 1 defense in the NFL as a rookie should be enough to win the damn game. Okay? It should be enough to win the damn game.
21-0 to start.
And there just isn't an adult on the sideline, it feels like, in Cincinnati. And I think that 3rd-and-1 play to Samaje Perine is an absolute indictment on the entire.
I knew you were going to bring that up.
No, seriously, it's the worst crap I've ever seen on a football field. Okay? It's 3rd-and-1. It is a key situation. The game is already collapsing around you. It collapsed heading into half, but you drove yourself out of the shadow of your own end zone. Your rookie is playing stellar, professional football. Joe Burrow, by the way, most attempts, lowest interception percentage on that amount of attempts, only 1.9 interception percentage. That's in top 10 in the NFL, along with Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, the best of them. And he's thrown more passes than all those guys. So he's making good decisions. He's playing his balls off as a rookie. And on 3rd-and-1, you run out Samaje Perine, who was a late-round fantasy sleeper in 2017, hasn't gotten a carry since 2018, and you run him not from the backfield, not on a pitch, a fullback dive. I mean, what? If there were
Taylor, he's looking at his playbook and he's just got a section that's just called cute plays, or it's time to get cute, and he just kind of defaults to that when he doesn't know what he's trying to do. That was the absolute killer in the game. As that happened, you were probably slamming your head against the wall. I went, Zac Taylor doesn't want to win this game, apparently.
Well, the thing is, this is how the play worked, because I was sitting right here watching it, literally in this seat. And I go, the announcer says Samaje Perine coming on the field. I said, oh God, they're going to give the ball to Samaje. It was just an obvious thing to do. And the Colts knew it. They blew up the fullback dive. You run a guy out there that's barely been out there. You put him in the fullback spot. I'm sure he's gotten some run there, and it's 3rd and 1. And Perine hasn't gotten it. So guys tip when they're going to carry the ball. Great defenses, great defenders, and the Colts are really well coached back there. And that last interception, yes, on Joe, but an even better defensive play. The more I look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, great, just really great job. Colts are a good defense. And guys tip when they're going to run. Their knuckles get white. They tighten up. They're like this. They're kind of looking around like, okay, I'm about to get the ball. I'm about to get the ball. Don't act like you're about to get the ball, especially a guy who barely
relaxed.
So I can't point on film and say, hey, Perine tipped it, but I guarantee that defense went, I think they're going to give the ball to that fullback.
Why is he into the game? Well, let's go ahead and let's watch him. And he wasn't even close.
And they blew it up. And then after the game, instead of saying, that was just a missed call by me, I take full responsibility, he like insults the media and goes, it's just a fullback dive. That fullback dive play only works in Madden, and barely, right? And barely. That's the only time I've seen that play work. Like, don't tell me a fullback dive is a means for success when you had 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 from the 2-yard line. You ran a quarterback sneak and scored.
Yeah.
You scored. Put the ball in the air. Throw a jump ball to A.J. Green. That's a damn better decision than Samaje Perine. Have a flea flicker. That's a better decision. Run a triple reverse. That's a better decision.
Fake punt. I would have taken a fake punt on that 3rd and 1. But
make a 3rd and 1 pooch punt. Hell, pooch punt the thing is probably a better decision in that situation. It was coaching malpractice. And what that means to me is normally that call is made by a young, spunky, creative offensive coordinator. And normally, under successful NFL coaches, that horrendous call is pushed through the headset, and you hear the head coach go, yeah, no, don't do that. Hand it off to Joe Mixon. Because there's an adult in the room. But instead, you get the spunky OC that saw this thing work in practice.
You get the guy who was in a room with Sean McVay once. I heard.
Yeah,
and
that's another thing, people. What is his resume? Because there have been great coach Bill Walsh, right? Bill Walsh started 8-24. All these Cincinnati Bengals fans want to share this thing about Bill Walsh started 8-24. Bill Walsh, first off, was many years older. Second off, had some serious NFL experience, NFL chops, and showed early signs of genius in San Fran. Zac Taylor has nothing on his resume. Nothing. There ain't a lick of success on his resume. He was the offensive coordinator in Miami for 5 games. They averaged 17 points, and he didn't get the job back. Okay. Yeah. He was the offensive coordinator in UC. They scored 3-3-3-7 in 4 straight games down the stretch of that season with Zac Taylor. Players that had success under future coordinators.
Yeah.
Zac Taylor was the quarterback coach for who? Ryan Tannehill. And do we see where Ryan Tannehill's at now compared to where he was at then?
Zac Taylor, yeah.
I just, and you could blame Adam Gase for that. And we all hate Adam Gase in the NFL, but at least Adam Gase had success as an offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl team. And then Zac Taylor, gets Jared Goff and Sean McVay's coffee for a year, and he gets hired. And listen, I'm not blaming Duke Tobin for the hire. You needed a guy on the cheap. There weren't a lot of other great candidates. It's not a great job. And maybe in the meetings, and listen, I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker in the press conferences, Matt. He's a good speaker, right? He seems to know what he's doing. Yeah. And I get, as a hiring manager, you have a gut feeling about a guy. He doesn't have the resume, but man, I just got a good feeling about it. Well, here's the thing, Duke. If you wake up today and that gut feeling is no longer there, you have to let him go. You have to, because now there's nothing defending the decision. There isn't a season here or a season there, or a recommendation here or a recommendation there, or a play design here or a play design there. It was just your gut feeling. and gut feelings don't fly at 3-18-1. They simply don't. Now I know they're not going to fire him this week, Matt.
Think so?
No, they'll have to get blown out against Cleveland or something like that, which they probably won't. I'm thinking it'll be a close game, but every week for me,
another one-score loss, no doubt.
Every week for me is Zac Taylor on the hot seat every single week, because this is not, in my eyes right now, from the evidence we've been given, I don't think there's any way in hell you can craft an argument. Every time I craft one, because I'm really good at making up excuses. I've been doing it for many years as a Bengals fan, making up paths for success. And every time I try to come up with an excuse for Zac Taylor, every time I try to come up with a reason that he should still be the head coach or was the right hire, I come back to the record and I just can't do it. I can't do it right now. Now, if he goes out,
we gave him the benefit of the doubt last year. We went, okay, it's his first year. We know this team is terrible. When it looked like we were going to be getting Joe Burrow, it was like, you know what? You got that first season under your belt. Now the new day is starting. Now you can show us with this new franchise quarterback with a year under everyone's belt to understand the Zac Taylor system. Now we're going to actually see a little more of that success. And we have not yet.
No. And here's the thing, though. I'm going to put a positive note to end the segment here about Zac. Because the only thing worse than the situation in which the Bengals currently find themselves is the situation that I have had a buddy bring up to me like 5 times, which is that Zac Taylor has the front office fooled hook, line, and sinker, and all the excuses he pumps out to the media. Katie and Mike and Duke are like, yeah, that's right. It's Burrow's fault. It's not the offensive line. Yeah, that's right. We're just 3 plays away from 4-2. That makes us feel better. And they're buying it. The problem is, and the thing that really should relax Cincinnati Bengals fans in the Zac Taylor era, is that I am 99% sure the organization is fully aware of where Zac Taylor is in his development. And they understand that it can get untenable pretty quickly, right? Because if a guy doesn't have a resume and he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing, everybody will bail, right? I have an example. I took a philosophy class. It was a logic class. The dude teaching us was 24 years old. He was a grad assistant. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're not, right? Clearly doesn't know how to teach it for the first 2 weeks. So everybody's starting to go look around and go, uh-oh, we've got a 24-year-old kid that doesn't know what he's doing in this logic class. Uh-oh. And then he comes out and he says, well, logic really wasn't what I studied over the last 4 years, so I couldn't really tell you. I'm like, what? We're in a logic class. What are you doing? What are you doing up there?
What are you doing teaching here, pretending you know it?
Right. I think the Bengals know there's a problem with Zac Taylor potentially. I think they gave him this year as they should have given him this year. But remember the quietest little move in the offseason. Former quarterback and punter at Dodge City Community College, moved on to be a punter at Kansas. He's been a part of this organization since 2003. The only consistent unit outside of a few long snapping issues in the late 2000s has been the Cincinnati Bengals special teams, and they have been under the care of Darren Simmons since 2003. Darren Simmons, after 2019, now look at Zac Taylor's staff. It's all his guys, Jim Turner, Callahan, Anarumo, all these underqualified guys that are Taylor's guys because he wants his guys, his staff, his culture, except Darren Simmons. And Darren Simmons from 2019 to 2020 gets a pay bump and gets promoted to assistant head coach. You tell me that was Zac Taylor's decision. I don't buy it. I don't think so at all. I think the Bengals stared at a 2-14 record, a team that underperformed their expected win-loss, and they immediately had doubts, and they did the exact right thing. They elevated Darren Simmons so that if this thing goes off the rails, which 6-1 going into the bye is officially way off the rails. I think we're off the rails now, but off the rails, you're burning and crashing. Yeah. Unbelievable. The train never getting back on the tracks at 6-1 going into the bye. You have a guy that can step in. Assistant head coach to head coach. That's an easy elevation. You give Darren Simmons the time after the bye, you go and bring in Eric Bieniemy in the offseason, the guy who finished second in your little hiring search.
Yeah.
And you move on and you move past. I think the Bengals front office, Matt, understands that. I think that's why Darren Simmons is in the position he's in. And if we're 1-6-1 going in the bye, or even 2-5-1, but it doesn't look very good, you barely beat Cleveland because Baker Mayfield throws it away, and Tennessee smokes you, and Joe Burrow's
gets benched again,
and Joe Burrow's on his butt a bunch, that's still a recipe for firing heading into the bye week. So, and Zac Taylor said so in a press conference. He says, I know what this record means. That's what he said in a press conference. I know what this record means.
Wow, a little self-awareness from him.
That was a quote that was missed by everybody. I think a coach that is not on the hot seat does not say that. Does not say that. But him saying, I know what this record means. The Browns are not going to have a bunch of patience, because when's that stadium deal due up? 2027? And Mike Brown likes robbing taxpayers, and you ain't going to rob them if you've got 0 playoff wins in PBS. Okay? So they got to move, and they got to move now if this team is supposed to stay in Cincinnati. And if we're 1-6-1, I think they fire him. I really do. I trust.
I like it. I like it. We got a bold prediction from you in going into the bye week of when Zac Taylor will be gone. Let's move to Bengals versus Vegas.
Yes.
For the last one, what do we have? We had
+8.
Bengals Colts +8 over under 46.5. Bengals covered over hit. We both went 2-0 for that week after our Ravens and under killed us at 0-2 the previous week, bringing us to I am at 6-4 so far in the season. You are at 5-5. We have the Bengals Browns round 2 coming up this week. The Bengals are at +3.5. Over under set at 50 points. What are you thinking?
I think this game goes over, and I think the Browns cover.
You think the Browns cover? Okay.
For the first time this year. Listen, +3.5 is too small. I mean, I see this game playing out very similar to that Thursday night game. The only hope I really have, well, think about the defensive line. It's way worse than it was in the Thursday night game. So that makes me, I just think the Browns are going to run right down our throat, and that's going to be kind of all she wrote. The one hope that I attach myself to, and Joe Burrow laughed about it in his press conference today. This is the first time in Joe Burrow's life, he's ever gotten to see a team twice in the same season, ever. And this is a guy who, when he sees things, he gets better. That's his number one trait, is learning, preparing, seeing it. That's his number one trait. And my hope for this one, and what I've been telling Browns fans, is you better hope you don't run the same exact defense on Joe Burrow. Because I'm telling you, man, he's this close. There's going to be one game, Matt, where he drops 400 yards, 4+ touchdowns.
I thought the Colts game was it. Starting out at 21-0, I thought that was going to keep going, and that was going to be the breakout game. I was like, I'm going to talk to Lukas about this. I'm going to tell him he was right. It was coming up. And no.
But the Colts defense is really good. So they made their adjustments.
Yeah.
And any quarterback say, hey, I'm going to give you 150 yards and 21 points in a quarter. Can you win with that? Yeah, I think I can win with that. Mm-hmm. Most other teams win with that. Okay. So I think Joe Burrow played damn good enough to win against the Colts. He shouldn't have had to do anything if we were able to run the ball. The Browns defense is not the Colts. The Browns defense, in fact, is so bad that the Browns are the 31st ranked road team in the NFL. So they got to come into Cincinnati. Joe Burrow gets to see you for a second time. Mm-hmm. If the Browns don't change anything, Joe Burrow could have a big day. But that hope, it kind of fades, because I know the Browns are going to run for 250 yards or something crazy. They're going to jam it right down our throat. They're going to control the whole game, and Joe's going to be chasing, and that defensive line of Cleveland's going to be chasing them all around the field. So I just don't know if he can get to 31, 35 points, which clearly is what he'll need to win games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for sure the over will hit. Our defense is not going to keep the Browns and their running game under 20 points. But I'm going to give you an opportunity here to catch me. I'm going to take the Bengals +3.5. I think It will be close. They might keep it within a one-score game. Within a field goal is going to be tougher, but it will for sure depend on how this game is started. If they are able to come out in the first half and keep it close, or do what they did against the Colts and score early, get 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives, I think that they can at least keep it within 3. There's not going to be a fourth quarter comeback garbage time to get it within 3. They're going to have to keep it a little bit close at halftime to hit my prediction there.
Yeah, once it gets to 3.5, my gambling rule is I better think the team's going to win the game, or I'm not going to pick it.
Yeah, that is close enough that it's not gonna matter.
And I think we'd be all idiots. Now there is a trend. Jay Morrison pointed this out from The Athletic, which fellow Bobcat Jay Morrison pointed out in The Athletic. The last 11 teams to have a 21-point first half lead are 11-0 the next week after they blew that lead. That's a great trend, right, Bengals fans? Oh my God, that's really exciting.
There we go.
Do you know who
are we about to break that?
Do you know who the last team to not win the next week after blowing a 21-point first half lead?
Was it the Bengals?
It was the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, so we're keeping our own streak alive there.
We don't follow trends here, man. We build our own.
That's right. It's a new day.
New day, man. New day. It's going to be a long listen. If they get blown out against Cleveland, I think you should just fire them. You should just not let them coach the next week.
What's blown out? 14, 20?
If it is 35-14 and it's just a disaster, get out. They lose close, I will still be saying you probably need to fire them, but I get why the organization wouldn't do it. Right?
Give them a little bit. Yeah.
I get why Zac Taylor's still the coach for this Sunday. I get it. It's not a smart move organizationally to do it right now, right? You do it for a bye week. You do it in certain situations. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And I will get it if he's still the coach for the next week, if he doesn't win, but is close this week and is close against the Titans. I get it. I kind of understand. But at the same time, my confidence level will completely erode. He's got to win the next 2. He's got to beat the Browns and the Titans, and that Steelers game after the bye better look real close for me to believe in Zac Taylor again. And that's not going to happen. Titans are going to rail this team because they're physical, they're smart, they're efficient, they're everything that Zac Taylor has never been. And that's why the Titans are going to destroy this team. The Steelers will as well. Unless Zac Taylor isn't the guy I think he is, which no evidence suggests to the contrary, but I am open to that possibility existing.
Maybe this is just a very, very long con for Zac Taylor. And we thought that was just going to be last season where he was figuring it out, and a genius move to throw in Ryan Finley, bench Andy Dalton on his birthday, throw in Ryan Finley to secure the number 1 overall pick. We looked at that and we went, wow, what a dumb move, Zac Taylor. But he's thinking, he's thinking to the future. And he knew, I go, yeah, I get that number 1 pick. And then maybe this season he's going, you know what? I'm gonna lose or tie or barely win for the first 8 games of the season. And then I'm gonna turn it on. Maybe he's gonna do that. And we're gonna see the new day, the Zac Taylor that he has promised that he would be in all of the press conferences. I can't even watch his press conferences anymore, though, because he goes up there and he just kind of goes, we're right there. We're man, we're like so close. It's like the one play, and then we were gonna.
Matt, you got to learn to parse coach speak. There's always important nuggets in coach speak. There's always, if you can understand what type of answers they're supposed to be giving in certain situations and what they're supposed to say, you can kind of figure out the mood or the terms, right? When he was being asked about Carlos and like you could tell, this is what he wanted to say. He knows he can't say it. So he says this, but that means this, right? And Joe Burrow does that as well. Joe Burrow said, hey, we let off the gas pedal. You know what that means? Coaching staff let off the gas pedal. And Joe is just saying, hey, we let off the gas pedal. And Joe's a leader in this locker room, and he'll never betray the coach because that's not what leaders do.
Yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean Joe Burrow isn't calling his dad and calling Archie Manning and these guys and going, I don't know. I'm not sure. Another thing Joe Burrow said this week, he said, they got asked, do the coaches listen to your suggestions? Mind you, Joe Burrow wrote the game plan for LSU on Sundays, okay? And they used it, pretty much the whole thing. He says, yeah, they listen to us, but sometimes it's used, sometimes it's not. That means they're not using it, okay? Yeah. That means they're using some schemes that they think he's comfortable for, but it's just not there. And I guess what, Zac Taylor? I have full faith and credit that Joe Burrow's a better football mind than Zac Taylor. No doubt. No doubt. Zac Taylor could barely play in the Canadian Football League. He doesn't even have a playing resume to hold on to, okay? Doesn't even have a playing resume to hold on to. The guy the quarterback we faced is older by 3 years.
Yeah.
If Phillip Rivers took off his helmet, put on a headset, went on the sideline for the Cincinnati Bengals, and Zac Taylor were the quarterback for the Colts, Bengals win 78-0. Okay? That's not good. Okay? Phillip Rivers is more ready for that job than Zac Taylor is.
That's not good.
It's not good. It's not good. All right. So, you know what? I'm going to change my over-under. Can I do that?
No, it's locked. It's locked in. I can't. You want to go under?
Yeah, because it's a division game. If it's a 50-point spread, a division game, second time around, you should usually go under.
All right, I'm going to allow it just so we are complete opposites. So right. We can potentially have a 2-point swing here.
Bengals won't win a game if it's under either. They just won't win it. They've got to blow them out. Blowing them out is the only path to victory because you're not winning a close game.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do this Reds thing real quick before we head out of here?
Yeah. As the final segment here, you are keeping the Reds in timeout, but you have something to say. Let's.
So, I was watching the World Series, which was the first baseball I've watched since we'll call it playoff appearance from the Cincinnati Reds.
They were definitely in a game.
And they definitely were in the dugout. They were there.
They definitely showed up to a stadium. I can confirm.
The logo was on the TV for a minute there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd not really put my thoughts together on that absolute debacle of a playoff series they had. And I finally had it because I've loved baseball my whole life. I've coached baseball at numerous levels. I've played it. I've broadcasted it. I've done it all. I love baseball. I've watched more baseball games in my life than I'd say 98% of 22-year-olds. Okay. I love baseball. Love it. And man, I was watching the World Series and I was actually kind of like, okay, yeah, baseball, man. And I went, wait a minute. The Reds played so unbelievably bad in their playoff series. They made me hate the game. I've never ever have I had a team I like play so bad. They made me hate the sport in which they played. Okay. When the U.S. gets bounced in the World Cup, I watch the next round. When the Bengals lose in the playoffs, I might poke at the highlights the next week, but the conference championships were definitely on. I love football still. They never made me hate the sport. The Reds played so bad. They were so inept, talked so much smack heading in. I hated baseball for a solid 2 or 3 weeks. And that's awful. And for me, it's the worst playoff failure in Cincinnati sports history. It goes above the 2015 playoff game because at least in that 2015 playoff game, I had my greatest moment as a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I don't know about you, but when AJ Green did a little okey doke underneath the defender's arm and slipped in the end zone, I cried. I thought we had won a playoff game. Okay. I felt it. It was awesome.
That's why it was probably the worst, up there in the top 3 for the worst heartbreak for Cincinnati sports.
Yeah, heartbreak.
Because when you're doing that roller coaster, and it was up there with the greatest moment, like crying, strangers hugging. Oh my God, Grandpa's going to see this before he goes. And then all of a sudden, boom. And then you're going all the way down to the worst possible moment.
Yeah,
that's why that is the most heartbreak. At least the Reds just kept it a consistent, absolutely terrible throughout their entire appearance this postseason. And I mean, Cincinnati sports in general just hit different.
Well, I agree. 2015 playoffs was more heartbreaking, but biggest dud was this playoff run from the Reds, because that was a
shot torn away at the last second.
There wasn't even 10 minutes in which I thought they were going to win a game. Like, I know they kept getting guys on base, but it just had this awful feeling. And then game 2 was even worse. I mean, it was a stinker. It was an embarrassment. I mean, it was horrendous. And don't tell me all the Braves had a 3-1 lead in the LLCS. How long as a fan base are we going to keep pointing at teams making championships after they beat us and go, well, see, we were this close? No, stop it.
Could have been us.
No, it couldn't have. Not the way you played. No, I mean, it was just, I can't believe they really made me hate the game for a little bit. And I'll be positive about the Reds when they not kick back off, first pitch, whatever. And I'm excited for a full 162.
They made you hate baseball so much you forgot how to talk about it.
But a full 162, it'll be great. And I can't wait to go back to Great American Ballpark. And the Reds will always have a special place in my heart. But this playoff run was especially scarring and especially awful. And that's all I wanted to say about it.
And that's good. That's it. That is all that we will discuss about the Reds. We will put them back in timeout and talk about them maybe next season.
Maybe, maybe if they re-sign Trevor Bauer or something. Yeah, if he comes back, I think he's the craziest dude I've ever met. If he comes back, and I'll respect him for it, but I think he's insane. If I were Trevor Bauer's agent, I say, no way in hell are you going back there.
Yeah, he goes, here's all these other teams. Not the Reds.
Dodgers have an aging ace, and they certainly have the money for you.
Don't give him any ideas.
I'm just saying. I want you, Trevor. I want you back.
Yes, there we go.
I need you.
Come back, Trev.
But at the same time, if you left, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
It's like LeBron the second time around in Cleveland. You're like, yeah, he's probably going to go to the Lakers. Yeah, we need that. All right. That's the Coney. Appreciate everybody. Matt, appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Until next week.
See you next week.